professor, I'm not a lecturer, but I have been on this crazy product journey for so many years now together with my team. That's what Favor said. So one thing at the beginning, I wouldn't change it for anything. And that's really important to know, I would say. Why? One of the reasons is definitely our agenda today. I believe that you see presentation. I don't see slides at the moment because I see myself and I see you. But it's a roller coaster. It's definitely a roller coaster, but it's a beautiful roller coaster. The one that actually allows us to learn about ourselves, learn about other people. And you know what always fascinating me? How many simple life principles we can learn through this job. I think that someone already mentioned today, like empathy, how to be empathetic, how to understand other people, how to help to other people, how to support them, how to empower them. And that's actually the pure magic of all of this. Of course, I mentioned already ups and downs, emotions, solving problems, searching for solution. That's all us. And what I have chosen for today is just to walk you through that. You know, I would just like to show you some key moments and situations that we face here as a team, how we cope with that and how we'll deal with that. And first, I would just like to tell you the perspective we are talking from. So the perspective is actually really nice. It's really broad. It's really like comprehensive, because here in Mindsmiths, in a kind of way, I like to say that we're in a kind of way privileged, because first of all, we do develop our own product, and that's our platform. On that platform, you can just build AI agents that help other people. But also what we do is we help other companies to build their own products as well, which means that we are really like active in the community. We founded one very big association. We are really active on Discord. I know that some of you guys are already here in our Discord, Mindsmiths Discord, which means that when I talk about the clients we have both big clients, like for example, banks and telcos and schools. And on the other hand, we also work, and I also work, and my team work with, let's say, small startup on the other hand. So I would say that that's the starting point. And now let's see how that looks like, how our collaborations look like, where it all starts. So it starts like this. This is what we get as a product team at the beginning. This is the real actually example from one PowerPoint presentation. We have do you see presentation?
We do not see a slide yet. Are you showing a slide?
This one. And now, is it better now? Do you see it?
Currently, we can't see any slide yet. I don't know if you should. Yeah, we can't see a screen share.
You can't, or you can? Sorry, Favor.
I can't see a screen share yet. I don't know if that's the case for everybody.
What's wrong?
Okay.
Okay, just give us a second, because my colleague is here. She is here with me.
Okay, no problem. All right.
Okay, sad se prebaci na Chrome.
We can see your screen.
Just a second, and now, can you see it now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Great.
so I'll just go back 2 slides back. Okay, so this is what you missed. Nothing special. This is a little bit more special. This is what you missed, so you can read it now. I apologize definitely for our little technical problems. And yeah, this is the agenda. When I was talking about the roller coaster, I was actually talking about this. So I mentioned Mindsmiths and perspective. So this is us, just in a couple of photos. And I also said, like, let's start with what we get as a product team on the table. And this is the situation here. So we have our business development department, and they're in charge, of course, for, and let's say, identifying potential partners, identifying leads, acquiring clients, closing the deals. And in this phase, when you just go around, when you talk to people, all you can see are some inefficiencies. So this is the example of one bank, and the product is something related to installment purchases. And they were in a situation that they have a good product, and 50% of their clients use the product, and the other 50% of clients, they just don't care, then they don't use it. And of course, as someone who developed that product, you ask yourself, what's the point? Where's the reason? Because when you look into the data, you just don't see any kind of differences between those two groups. And then, you know, when we look at this as a product team, when you look something like this, you don't even know, is there opportunity already? You just don't know that. And I like to believe that all of us as a product person, that we are actually, as a product people, that we are actually curious. So when me and my team, there is 6 of us at the moment, when we see something like this, we are just like curious. We just want to examine, we just want to research. You don't know what will happen in the end. You know, this is the phase where you just ask yourself constantly, what if? You don't know, should you go into that adventure? Should you research it or not? But you just, let's say you just can't help yourself. This is how we function here. This is the phase when you actually start to be obsessed with the idea, what if you unlock that chapter, you know, what's in the end? And then we just proceed further. And now that we are here. So, okay, you know, as the first step, what we always do, we draft how our journey will look like, you know, and that's something that we all, if we have a client, that's something what we also communicate to our clients. When I say draft something, that's something that you just sketch like roughly. And the idea is not that you stick to that blindly. You just want to show how the progress will look like. And that's also what we use to align the stakeholders along the way, because how the progress happens, this is how we are going to update it. If you ask me now, is that something that always happened within those time frames? Is definitely not. Maybe in 50% of cases, we just do it in a way as I wrote it here, but the other 50%, you know, maybe it's shorter, maybe it's longer. It depends on the project and the client and requirements and our wishes as well. But we as a product team start from here. And also when we do this kind of like, let's call it like timeline, we also do a team setup in this moment here. So team setup depends again on the project and on the requirements, and also we just sit and we see who is available for something, who is into something. For example, whenever it's about finances, I'm here because I just like financial topics and stuff. We also have some other kind of projects. Sometimes maybe someone is into health. So here we just do those two things, like let's say agenda and let's say team setup. And the first step, I think that you also saw it on the previous image, we start with product discovery. So here you can see so many interviews, so many faces. We did it for one partner only. And why we do it? Why we do those interviews? So imagine the situation if we just talk with someone from, let's say from board, for company's board, and we proceed and we do what they want. I mean, that will definitely be a limited perspective. So we do interviews to see all the other perspectives, because there are so many stakeholders always involved with so many valuable perspectives. For example, I mentioned the bank. You can have like customer support. They know so many things about the clients. They're solving their problems, so they can give you some value. You have also, for example, some churned users or clients, they just gave up somewhere along the way. You also can have like potential users, existing customers. So there's so many like opportunities just to know what's going on in here, not to be limited. And depending again on the project and what we want, sometimes we talk to 10 people, sometimes it's even like 50 or 70. And this step here, let's call it step, is like really, really, really demanding. So I put you some photos here so that you can see we as a team face here with all possible moods and emotions you can imagine. Left corner, that's Leah. She's product discovery lead. So we have a person dedicated for that. Here she's smiling. Why? Because everything goes very well. Next to her, Jan is struggling with equipment because this is also the part of product discovery. Then you have Leah again being like fully down because why? She can't hear in those interviews. She's doing transcription. She didn't get what she wanted to get from the interviews. And then you also have ladies leaving the country and going to another country because this is also the part of product discovery. This is how we operate. Here, left corner down, below, you see our external stakeholder who's actually confused, like, what do we want from him? So this is definitely not easy part. I will just tell you a couple of more examples. So you talk to people, you schedule interviews, and we had a case that 9 out of 10 of users who actually confirmed that they will show up on Zoom call, they just didn't show up. So you have to change the strategy along the way. You have to just find solutions. And also, for example, if you, so very often we use with both internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. And with internal stakeholders, it's so easy to get them, you know, they will talk with you because there's their interest as well. But will you be able to hear everything you want, and will they be opened? They won't be, because maybe sometimes they're afraid, what if their colleagues hear that? So that's also something that you have managed along the way. So that's the reason why we have dedicated person for that, and you really need to have some skills. So Leah, she's actually a psychologist, and before her we had a colleague who is actually, I don't know, guys, do you know what's Big Brother? But that's reality show. So our colleague who was in charge of product discovery before, he was expert in that. So you really have to find someone who knows how to talk to people and how to motivate them. And also I wanted just to mention like external stakeholders. With them, the situation is totally different. As I mentioned, it's hard to get them, but once when you get them, they will just talk and tell you everything because they're just not afraid. So this is how we start with interviewing. And then in parallel, what we also do. So you can talk with 200 people if you want, but you will still be in a kind of way limited. You will still be in a kind of way in a box because all those people, you found them, and the world is so big, you know, and you just want to make sure that you will not make a mistake. So what we do is state-of-the-art research. Usually, let me just go one step back. One person is dedicated for interviewing. The other person is dedicated to make analysis of those interviews and synthesis as well. And then usually the third person does the state-of-the-art research, which means you just Google, you try to find some things that could be good for you. And this, what you see here, is just one slide. It was a really big presentation for one client in Germany. I did it on my own, and imagine what happened. So they had an idea of what they want to do. It was some kind of combination, let's say, between digital transformation and product they wanted to build. And we talked with so many stakeholders there. We talked to all of them. And we were like, yeah, that's exactly the direction we have to go to. Everyone agreed. The people were repeating the same things. We were thinking in the same way. And then I just told myself, okay, I have some time. I'm going to dig deeper a little bit into that. And I found a paper. just paper on the internet, some kind of observation, some kind of research. And in that paper, guess what happened? First, I found out that the product they want to build already exists on like 20 places in this world. And that was a real deal breaker for them. Why? Because their KPI was innovation. And the second thing was, guess what? That product doesn't work on that 20 places. So of course, that's a deal breaker. You just don't want to build something that will make no sense. So whenever you have time and whenever we have time, we just invest into that because it can really save you the beginning. Imagine if we would go and develop that. So that will be like a big fail on both sides. So just to summarize, we have those two main, let's say, activities in our product discovery phase. And then, you know, this is the moment. So this is the moment. If you remember the question from the beginning of presentation, is there some opportunity in all of this? This is the moment when we gather all the stakeholders, which means our business development who actually detected some kind of inefficiency and maybe opportunity out there. If we have someone external, like a client, we also bring the client to the table. And of course, our team manages all of that. And here we actually say, and we give our answer, do we see that opportunity? So this is the example for the bank. We saw so many opportunities. Why? We just detected that people are having so many problems here with all these biases and wrong assumptions and everything. So, and we also, what we do, we also give some kind of already suggestions how the product should look like, how it could look like. The funny thing is, this is the phase where we actually envision our product. Here you can just see how could it look like. In our context, that's always some kind of assistant that educates you and help you. But this is the moment. And here, what we want to make sure is that all the stakeholders are on the same page, that they would like to continue. So this is the moment when we decide, do we want to continue? Do we want to go into product development? And except of that, making sure that you're doing the right thing, that everyone agrees, what you also do is you want to narrow the scope. You see those lilac here like shapes. So it's very important for us, before we start, to narrow the scope as much as we can, because imagine going into all of this, trying to address all the problems you see, it just makes no sense. In the end, you will try to do everything and you will just end up in the rabbit hole. I have so many examples. I have chosen this one. And what I also have to tell you, so this is like official ending of our product discovery phase. That moment, together with product launch, those two are the most stressful moments for us as a team. Why? Imagine this, you're coming with something. Here you see that customers that we talk to, they say that something is complicated. Imagine the person sitting there in the room, maybe the product person who developed that product. If the client is with us, imagine that person hearing that, sitting next to the boss and thinking, oh my God, am I doing the right job? You see, people just see that. People think that it's complicated, or I'm not aware of it. You know, users gave this feedback. So maybe someone from marketing will just feel, okay, you just start to question yourself. So that moment is always like so emotional, because in a kind of way, we're telling them the truth. Very often we surprise them. They just didn't know that. And they feel like, you know, it's really, really hard to accept that. I try to find photos just to show you how it can look like. Of course, I don't have a lot of them. I found one only, and this is the photo. So these two guys here, you can see they're my colleagues, and we were just like done. We just couldn't get on the same page with a partner, and we just gave up because it didn't make no sense. And we as a team, we had one really great challenge here. So you invested so much in that so far. Product discovery takes 6 weeks. Initial exploration before that takes also some time. And here we had to learn to accept that maybe we will not continue. And that was really exotic for us, trust me. Because we were like, okay, something wrong with us. It's funny because I counted today. That happens to us 2 times so far, but those 2 times we just have to accept it as a team, because you just have situation that someone is like, I don't want to continue in that direction for any reason. So that's actually a really like a great learning for us. So if we continue to go further, we do this. And this is something that happens again, and it comes again to the core of the product team. We design core loop. Why we design core loop? Well, if you don't have core loop, you don't have a product you can scale. You don't have a product that users will use. Why? If we define the core loop as like the heart of the product that makes people want to use it again and again because it hits their need, I think that it makes it much more clear. And the first challenge here is the companies we work with, we cooperate with, they didn't use to the concept of core loop. They talk the language of features. It's always about, but we want this feature. Can you guys help us with this feature? So they just speak that language. And for us, it's just like, can we just put features inside? We have to focus on something like this. And when we create core loop, when we create it, first of all, you just want to do it as fast as you can. So as you can see, this is the real example. We just do it in the Google Slides. We just don't waste our time. We change text and then we take it and we just go first. We go in the company. We ask our colleagues for feedback, and we just don't waste our time. And that's such a painful job here in our team, because you have to actually invent something from the scratch. You just do it, and every time, you invest, let's say 5 hours in something or 2 hours, and then you take that, you ask someone, okay, will that solve your problem? And the person says, I don't understand anything. What is it about? And then you go back, you iterate, and you go back and you change. And team support is extremely important here, because you have to change it along the way, like so many times. So our setup is usually like this here. One person is product designer, one person develops this, and the other team members, we just give feedback, because it's really not good if you are both, like, let's say, creator and a judge. So we in a kind of way, we play like ping pong, and this is how we iterate and how we do it. And sometimes it takes like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of hard work to find the core loop. But if we find the core loop, we know that we are in a good situation and we can like proceed forward. And this is one more topic that really causes like a lot of pain and a lot of learnings, even though maybe it doesn't look like that. I mean, collecting feedback, what does it mean? You just go around and ask people what they think, right? I mean, but it's not like that. So very often it happens that you approach someone and you say, oh, look what I have developed. What do you think about that? What would you change? What would you like to see here? And that's totally wrong. We had to practice that, and we practice that algorithm constantly, which means we are telling ourselves 3 things. I think we are telling 3 things. The first thing is, when you approach to the person, you just have to create the right context for a person. And the context is, imagine you having this problem and this need, And now look at this. What do you think? Will that help you, in solving your problem and your need? You just need to put the person in that context. You just talk about their pains and their needs. This is, it's funny, today I took this screenshot when I was preparing the presentation, and this was obviously my first tweet ever out of my 400 tweets on Twitter, where I just comment, you see, customers are experts in pain and not solutions. And we had to practice for such a long time that we have to focus on their lives, how our products, how what we do fits into their lives, and not to talk about them suggesting us something. So that was one of the craziest thing ever. And I mentioned Leah, our product lead, and she was into that. She had to create a setup for that in our team. So I would say this is like also very important part of our work, and it requires like patience, education, and everything you can imagine. And after that, you created that core loop. You see it can create value to the people. You tested it. You did it in the right way. You collected feedback. Everything makes perfect sense. Of course, you want to build a product. You want to build something that will work on a scale with many people. And then, I don't know about you guys, but I always have my ideal scenario, what I want out of my product. For example, if it's a bank, I'm like, perfect, we can have like a push notification on the phone. And then when you click it, you will just go into that assistant, and assistant will do the magic. It will like educate you and everything. And for that, of course, maybe you need some data. And then you're like, but perfect, we will integrate with their system, Salesforce, whatever. And then you just like cold shower, but we cannot integrate because we need to wait for their resources for like, I don't know, a year. Believe it or not, but sometimes it's like that. Or then you're like, okay, but we can find another solution. They have CRM team that we will ask them to provide us with data. And then you just hear, yeah, but the CRM team, they don't have like the right infrastructure processes for that or whatever. So for me, imagining everything you can see here, it happens that you end up on this, that you actually end up only on push message, and that's all. And of course, it's really like frustrating. You can give up, and sometimes we do give up. Honestly, we do. But the approach we use here is always like, if we believe that it can create value, if we believe that it can be significant for us, significant for them, we will just accept this. We will just go with what we have, with a simple push message, and we will just measure, does it make impact? And that's something what we do. And sometimes when we're in this phase, I'm having like impression, like we're playing a game, like we're unlocking the levels. Why? Because if you prove that you can cause some kind of impact, if you see some results, they will also unlock themselves. I'm talking about the client, of course. They will just say, okay, we see opportunity, something can happen, and then you can also unlock resources for yourself and so many things that can actually help you to build a product. So here, the main thing is like to be smart, to push, if that's something you would like to have in your portfolio. And that's all I have to say about this. The key is just not to give up. And once after we build it, and those are real photos, we were just preparing for some releases. Of course, that you will do everything you need before you launch. You will do your control mechanisms, you will do your edge cases, you will do everything, and you will launch it. And of course, it's important for product that everything goes well. You will like measure results, statistics, whatever. But if you limit yourself during that release only on that aspect, I would say that you would miss something much more powerful. So we use the launch also as Sorry. We use it also as opportunity to celebrate our wins, to celebrate our team, to celebrate what we did. And it's really, really, really important. What we also do is we not do it alone, just internally in the company. We also bring clients, if they can't be with us like physically, what we do, we bring them virtually. This is the first photo here. So we really use that moment because, you know, you work so hard, you just want to do that something for yourself and for the team. And it's funny if I'm thinking, if a couple of years ago, someone told me that you need to know how to celebrate, I would probably say, oh man, you're crazy. How do you mean how to celebrate? But it's funny because we really had to learn how to celebrate. What you should do, what ceremonies do you have? Even it's so funny because even sometimes I have an impression that it's still not in our DNA, because what happened, you know, you're having some significant launch, and on the day on the launch we're like, oh damn, we just forgot, you know, we forgot that we have to celebrate. So that's something that you have to learn, and it's like a ceremony. I would say it's like a Scrum ceremony, like you practice like stand-up. That's how we practice in our celebration. And let me just okay. And we as a team also use this opportunity to connect or reconnect with clients. Why? We went also together through such hard work, and here also I put some examples. You will need this for the future. You will need this because once when you released, it's not over. It has actually started. So this is our approach. Here, what you can see, this is our Discord. We actually bring our clients here to our Discord, and we just try to be transparent. One after we release, we share statistics. We just ask them also like, let's change together, let's iterate together. That's actually the part of our culture. So this is a very, very important moment for us. And we just, as you can see, we just use it in the best way we can. And after we release, of course, the team is also like very active. We are very focused. We have like procedures and very good structure around how we monitor and how do we change things. I just put one example here. For example, after the launch, you see that, let's say the final conversion in this case was like almost 2%. Later on, after a couple of more iterations in a few days, it was like much better. So once when we release, we're like, okay, we did it, but what are the next steps? Let's just have some structure, let's be smart, and let's move this product let's just move it forward. So now we are coming to one more topic, something that we do, that we also do here as a team. So all these learnings that I have mentioned, you take maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe 3, it depends on the product and what do you have. We just sit and we write down everything what we have learned. So the main thing is we should not be ashamed in any way of the fact that we didn't do the best thing from the first shot. So it's all about the learnings here. This is just one example. And we just try to pursue that culture, that learnings are normal, that's something that, you know, sometimes when I'm on Twitter, it's so popular, that phrase, let's normalize this, let's normalize that. I would just say that it's really nice, that it will be really nice to normalize the fact that it's okay to learn along the way and to be proud of that. And here we can come to one more thing. Also something that should be normalized. You know, I don't know, do you hear often, but I hear very often, even here in the company, even though we are so open, as you can see, I hear very often we're in situations like, oh, damn, if we will change roadmap, what will the client think? Now we are changing something that means that our assumptions maybe were not right. That's so wrong. That's what we have learned also. We started all of that, let's say, obsession with that out of our fears, but this is also like real example. It's totally normal and necessary to change the roadmap, because if we learn along the way, then of course that we will change it. It's just not possible to make good hypotheses at the beginning and just follow them for the, I don't know, next 2 years. So this is something that we also practice now here in the company. And now we can stop a little bit, inhale, exhale. I think I could talk about this for days. So very often people ask me, and very often people ask also our team here, how do we manage all of this? How do we manage all these uncertainties, unknowns? What kind of person you need to be to work here, to come here? And what I can tell you now, I hope that I just show you at least a couple of steps of our journey. And I think that you can imagine what kind of people do we need. We need people who can be like, let's say, like riders, who are curious, who can find solutions along the way, feel free, not living in the box, not feeling limited. Actually, I don't even care about the education. And people normally, they send CVs, but do we read them? Maybe it sounds rude, but we don't. We give everyone chance to come here to the office. We talk to everyone. And if the person has the right approach and the right attitude, which means like being engaged, interact, and whatever, the person can learn whatever. So this is our approach here. We just need people who are problem solvers, open, etc. Because if you remember the beginning, again, you just move from all these inefficiencies towards opportunities, from opportunities to some core loop that can support someone, from core loop to the real product, and then in the end, something you can scale. It's like really a journey. And a little bit more here about the team. So this is just us. I see all of us here. And yeah, I mean, maybe it makes no sense to just repeat again all these principles that we use. But yeah, we are all just curious. We work together. We are like together every day. We don't have, let's say, a remote policy here. We spend time together. We help each other. It's funny because at the moment we're all girls in the team, but that changes constantly. So that's not like fixed. And just for the end, I just try to summarize some things before we start with the questions. So don't forget what your job is. You know, I think that too often we think that our job is just to jump from nothing to results. But that's actually not our job. What I have learned along the way, that PM's job is just to create an environment where the results can happen, just to detect the right person. The product teams, we don't work alone. We have to find the real stakeholders and everything. So I think it's really important to understand what your KPI is. It's your KPI result. I don't know. In our case, it's definitely not, because that's the culture we are startups, so maybe the things are a little bit different. But if you have a good process, if you get a good approach, you will also have results. And this picking your battles here, what I have learned also from my experience here, just can't please everyone. And sometimes I'm just like getting distracted. I just want to help everyone. I need to give feedback. Maybe because I'm team lead as well. But what I have learned is, if you can do something, just be emotionally intelligent and just tell to the person, I can't do it right now. Maybe I will do it tomorrow. Maybe you have to find some other solution. But it's really, really important that we can make a good assessment of what's important for us. And my colleague here in the team, Kate, she laughs at me constantly because I just don't read emails. I just do that if it's really important. I just can't, you know, it just like so many of them, so many projects and everything, but I made a decision that's not the battle I can win. I will ask other people for help. They will go through these emails. So this is just like the part of my personal algorithm, just to pick the right battles. And this just keeps showing up. I mean, in our industry, even imposter syndrome is so like, it's really like present because we are not born as product managers. We all were doing something else before. As Favor mentioned, my background is primarily like media and agency background, and you just start one day from nowhere. And so often, again, I read around things like believe in yourself and just show up. I would say just show up, and then you will start to believe in yourself because you just need that experience. And it's about our KPIs again. Our KPI is just to be persistent, just to be engaged, just to try something, to have this process, to have this consistency, and then the results will happen. Again, this is my personal algorithm. And yeah, I mean, enjoy the journey, because if life is a journey, why shouldn't our work be as well, right? So yeah, that's all I had here in the slides.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jenna, for sharing that with us. Thank you very much. Please, guys, in the chat box, let's say a big thank you to Jenna for sharing with us.
Let me just open them.
So,
Okay. I will stop share, okay?
okay, no problem. That's fine. All right, thank you so much, Marjana. It's been very insightful, the things you shared. Some very interesting things popped out to me when you mentioned like call loop, and a couple more things that you shared. And I think some people even were dropping down some very interesting notes. I see someone drop down product managers' job is to provide an environment where growth can happen. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were able to get one or two things from the session that will really help them journey forward. Now is the time we want to do questions. So I know a lot of us through the session, we've had a couple of things come to our mind as we shared, and we have questions. What are those questions that are top of mind for you guys that you'd like to get answers to, or you like to be discussed here? And for that to happen, Vishal, I can see your hands up. I would appreciate if we moderate the questions via Slido, whereby you type your questions. It's best if we can all type our questions. Preferably if we can all type our questions, I would truly appreciate that. So we can go to Slido. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to see how we can moderate our question and answer via Slido. All right. So also just go to the platform and input your question there, and we can start there. Okay, let me see, Bashar. I see your hand is up. Are you able to let me Bashar?
Hello. Yeah, good
Hi.
evening.
Good evening.
Pascal.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Pascal, no Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Okay, so my question is, for almost every product manager I've come across, they always say that your ability to ask the right questions is what is going to, provide the answers, you require to building your product, to, knowing features you have to add and all that. And I was really interested when you spoke about the importance of research, asking the right questions and whatnot. So I feel like my question here is, how are you sure you've gotten the right questions? or how sure, like how can you be certain that the questions you've gone to ask, because I mean, you said you should employ a really good research team, and that's really good, but not everyone can afford one, right? So how can you as a product manager employed into a team get the right research and also get the right questions yourself? Your tips towards that, please.
So that's the reason why we have a dedicated person for that. That's the reason why we have Leah, because she's expert in that and she exactly know what she should ask and how she's going to get the right answer. I can't answer you now because I'm not in her head, but since she's really doing her job in a good way, maybe I can just forward her that question and maybe you can link up later, guys. Maybe she can just share some tips and tricks with her, with you, because she's really doing it in a good way. I don't know how much does it help you right now, but that's the idea I have at the moment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for that, Pascal. If we have more questions,
I saw so many comments in the chat box. I didn't even have like time to go through all of them, but I saw so many like, thanks, Mayana, this is like good. And so, yeah, I don't know, maybe we have something interesting there as well that we could address right now. Kevin.
Okay, so I think so Idowu earlier shared that the product manager's job is to provide an environment where growth can happen. You know, he was just sharing like tips. I think he gleaned from what he shared so far. Then I think Emmanuel also shared. You literally just opened up everything about your PM day-to-day journey. Thank you for simplifying the job log. So basically, your day-to-day. I think you did share how you go your work on a day-to-day, right?
Yeah, let me just find that comment. What time was that?
That was 5:52.
5:52.
PM. Yes.
Okay, let me just. Aha, you literally just opened up everything about your PM day-to-day journey. Is that it? You're talking about that?
Yeah, yes.
You know, I wish that I opened everything. I wish, but my team suggested me not to try to say everything. That's maybe like 5% of everything we go through. I just try to choose maybe 6 or 7 moments that are really like significant to us. So maybe some other masterclass could be more about process. This time I just wanted to focus much more on emotion, you know, and let's say that roller coaster we just go through. But I'm happy to see this comment. So thank you, Emmanuel.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We had another comment from Abbas was saying, the product discovery parts that you shared. I remember that particular slide on product discovery. That you shared the processes, and I think where you currently are as a team. He said that stood out for him. And for me, really interesting.
Yeah, I see the comment. So the product discovery part stood out for me, right? Okay, that's it. That's what you're talking about, Favor, right?
Yes, that's what.
Yeah, product discovery is in a kind of way art for itself. I have to tell you that I have never been involved on, let's say, operational level in that. Why? Because we have a dedicated part of the team just for that. And it's not, as my colleague mentioned a couple of minutes ago, of course, that's not cheap, but that's the part of our strategy. So what I always try to do with that part of the team is just to be their facilitator, just to help them to set the process, just to help them to understand the deadlines and deliverables. I, as a PM, that's what I do. So, you know, just conducting interviews, I have to tell you, I did like 0 interviews so far. but it's really nice to see how product manager can also help in that product discovery, just to keep the team motivated and just to keep team on the same page. So I would say that this is how I see my contribution to product discovery. And of course, sometimes just doing a research because I'm a good Googler. So they use me, just to help them with all of those things. But yeah, that's me as a PM in our product discovery.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much for that. So I think we have one question in from Aurelua. And Aurelua is asking, how do you undo partners or stakeholders who are feature focused, even when the data shows those features might not be good for you?
We're talking about features. Can you please do me a favor and to repeat for me?
All right, sure, I can. So the question from Ore is, how do you handle partners or stakeholders who are feature focused, even when the data shows that those features will not or might not be good for the users?
So I would say that's the part of our positioning as a company. We're really focused on why and not how and what. So we're used to that everyone will talk about the features, and then we just come and say, okay, but can we talk about people and how their life really looks like and what are their needs? And then later on, we will just think about what the how should look like, because features are just how. And when you manage to let's say catch the person at the beginning, and when you start to talk about all this human-centric stuff and not product-centric stuff, then people just understand you. You can also, when you talk to them, we just use an example. We just say, okay, look how your life looks like. Are you really sure that you're having that problem and that feature will solve your problem? So we just love to talk about how their lives look like, what users really need, what bothers them. As I said, we like to talk about the pain and not solutions. And once when you talk about pain, that people can correlate, and in the end they understand. And you just what you can always do is also like use some products that are really like core loop oriented. For example, Duolingo. Very often when we want to explain to partners that how the product should be built and what's really important and what kind of products succeed, we just ask them, guys, have you ever used Duolingo? And you will always hear like, yeah. And then we ask why, but was your need really to learn a foreign language? And they're usually like, no, I just wanted to have that impression that I'm working on myself, that I'm doing something good for myself. And then our reaction is like, oh, interesting. So that was your basic need, and Duolingo just help you, to fulfill that need. So maybe that's a little bit complex example, especially if you haven't used Duolingo so far. But the summary is just talk about pain. Don't talk about solutions. The whole industry functions in the same way. Everyone talks about solutions, and you just have to break that pattern. That's what we do.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much for the answer. I think Orion was replied. So thank you for the answer. Okay.
Thank you for the question. That was Adelore. And there is new question came in. Now I see the questions as well.
Yes,
so maybe
great.
I can read it favor.
Go ahead then. Over to you.
Getting a PM job as an entry-level folk is tedious, especially when you don't have any experience and companies are asking for a backlog of experience. How can you stand out while job hunting as an entry-level folk? Thank you. I'm just thinking about something. So at the moment, here in my team, no one had like previous experience. Everyone is just like new. And what worked for me, I told you, it wasn't CV, really. It wasn't educational anything, but you need to have the right approach. Just pitch yourself as a person who can learn very fast. Come with something, maybe elaborate something already, but just pitch who you are and how agile you are, how much you want to succeed. You know, that's like the main thing about product management. And if they don't know that, if they expect, for example, just off topic, I have never used Jira in my life. No one in my company used Jira. We found some other frameworks how we can survive and work and be faster, because Jira is really a tool. You need like one person for Jira specialized. So just focused on the value you'll be creating, and try also find a company that could be a good fit. If you see it's a big corporation, and if you see that people who are leaders there are detached from the employees, I think they just expect, certificates and stuff like that. Don't go there. Maybe try to find some startup and someone who is much more open for your situation. That's what I would do. And I see when I said that my ladies here, they don't have just previous experience. Yeah, we are startup, and that was the good environment for them. I can't even imagine them starting in Google. It would just makes no sense. So try to detect the right company for you and think about that company, think how you can create value, and just go and try. That's what I would do as a disclaimer.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that response, Marjana. Abbas, do you have any feedback on that, Abbas? Okay, just got it. Thank you. Quick one. So, do we have more questions? More questions? Anybody? So while we expect more questions to come in, there's something we do as a ritual at Trevor. At the end of every session, we have the participants share some feedback with the facilitator. It is tell us how the session has been for you as students. So I just shared a link in the chat box, and I'm also sharing my screen. So please, if you could go to the link in the chat box, I would like you to share some feedback with Marjana about this session. Or if you're on your laptop, you can just scan the barcode and share some feedback. I'm also still expecting more questions to come in the chat box.
I see the new question. Am I active on LinkedIn? The only social network I'm active on is Twitter. I am on LinkedIn, so we can connect. No problem. You can find me there. I will just see your request, and that's it. Yeah, send me an invite. That's good. That's good.
All right. Okay.
I'm also trying to see, do we have something else that we may be
Yes.
missing here in the chat box?
I think another question just came in. From Adelore.
It's an amazing question. This is really, really, Adelore, this is a great question. So how do you empathize with your team when they're at burnout? Very often team members are just like being stressed and getting stressed. And I can see that because, the office is not so big. We're all sitting close to each other. And then I just come and take a look in what they do. I talk to them and I hear how they feel. And then I'm like, okay, but what are you trying to do? And you set some deadlines for yourself, right? Why am I saying that? Because very often I just find out that people created some KPIs for themselves, some KPIs that actually don't exist and no one expects that from them. That's my case here, because people are so engaged, that really like to work, and they put themselves under the stress unnecessary. So what I do then, we have something, what we call one-on-one. Every week we talk. Maybe for 30 minutes, maybe for 1 hour. Yes, that's a big investment for my side, but it's definitely the best invested time ever, I have to tell you. So first of all, it's prevention. Now to summarize, first of all, it's prevention. If you talk to someone every week, if you repeat to the person what the KPI is, the KPIs, you don't need to have, you don't need to do everything on your own. That's not the idea. You have to involve the team. You don't have to push yourself beyond your limits, because no one expects that. If you repeat that, you will really mitigate the chance for having that type of situations. But also when I see something and I'm really observer, I just go and I observe. When I see something, I just react immediately, and I just remind the person what we are doing. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. When you work in a startup and when you're trying to build something, you just can't let yourself, the burnout is not an option. So I just constantly try to remind them, and I constantly repeat what we're doing, why we're doing, in what kind of business we are. So it's like communication. At Allura, it's like communication. Thanks for the question. I know I had said it already, but I really like it. Does it help? Does this answer help? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. It does. Okay, perfect. I'm glad to hear that.
All right. Thank you very much for that,
Thank-
Ms. Imogen. So we're going to go into some feedback shared by the class so far. Right. So the question is, how did you enjoy the session with Jenna? We have a 4.9, healthy, smiley, long face rated. So what are the key takeaway? What is your key takeaway from the session? So all right, let's go from the start. Knowing the right question to ask at every phase, good research, the discovery part, pick your battles. The key to beating imposter syndrome is to show up and get things done. Interesting. The product development process and handling stakeholders parts. Marjana did explain the topic in detail. It's more interesting is the use of pictures. Okay, nice. How to set up a product team and stakeholder management. Interview as a subset of product discovery, and how to escape customer bias conducting the same. Okay. The ability to think and ask good questions, having a better understanding of handling partners and stakeholders. Beautiful, beautiful. We have one more question. One more question. What can we do better? Constant live sessions like this. More of this session, please. By having more of this session. Okay. Do well. The questions could be moderated overall good session. Okay. I would like better exposure on day-to-day activities. Otherwise, nothing. All right. Thank you very much for this feedback, guys. Thank you very much. We have something in the chats.
I would also like to say thanks for the feedback. It's really insightful.
Awesome. All right. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I think with that, if there are no more questions from anyone, I think with that, we can come to the end of today's session. Marjana, do you have your Twitter handle so they can just catch up with you on Twitter?
Yeah, it's my username is Mayaverse, but maybe you can share my, yeah, that's it. So if you're active there, let's connect. That's also how I met the guys from Trefford as well. So this meeting today, we can just we can say thanks to Twitter, because that's the reason why we're here today.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. I think so. I think with that, okay. Okay, I think the last one, the last entry was don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think with that we can come to the end of this. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming around. I don't know if you have any last final words or final feedback before the session.
Yeah, I would just like to say thanks everyone, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed it, because I see that you did from all the comments and from feedback. And this was actually my first session of this kind. I have never done this before, so I didn't just know what to expect, and you were so great and so supportive, and I saw so many great questions. So yeah, thanks once again. Thank you, Favor, also for tolerating me and being constantly late and last minute. You're awesome.
No
Thanks.
problem. No problem. Thank you so much.